Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. RMJ Movie Reviews back again. I just want to make a comment on something that I actually just read online. That the Arsenio Hall show, the him coming back to the talk show circuit. Um, Back in February, Jay Leno came on the show and said that he was renewed for a second season, but now it has been just announced that Arsenio is canceled. Okay, let me give my quick feelings on this. I used to watch the original Arsenio Hall show from the late '80s to the early mid '90s when I was. Oh my God, this was 1988 or '89. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was '89 when Arsenio first came on his original show. So I was like somewhere between eight. I was eight, 7 or 8. I was somewhere in there, and the show ended when I was 12. Which I remember. Whoopi Goldberg was the last guest, and I still remember that. Now, when the new show came on, I mean, like everybody else, I was pumped to see Arsenio come back. And when I saw the show, it was disappointing. But it's the same thing, like when we saw Michael Jordan come back, or all these people who were great at some time, and then they come back and they're not as good because that's just how it is. Lightning strikes once, and then when you try to do it again, it doesn't always hit. And in Arsenio Hall's show's case, it didn't really hit. It hit when he had people like, the Prince episode, or the Eddie Murphy episode was okay. Eddie is kind of reserved now, so it didn't really quite hit like we wanted it to, like the old Arsenio Eddie Murphy shows that he did on back in the day, but it was still okay. When he had was it Genuine and Tyrese and Tank, those were bad episodes. When he had episodes that focus on music spectacle, I thought it was okay. And when he tried to do original comedy bits, it was okay. It just really seemed that Arsenio struggled with getting name people on there on his show. Because back in the day, he had everybody popular. I mean, he had Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell, Sylvester Stallone, Eddie Murphy, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Will Smith, Gladys Knight, Snoop Dogg, Anna Nicole Smith. I mean, Arsenio had everybody back in the day. Johnny Depp was on there with Tim Burton, so he just had everybody. And I still have some old VHS copies of. I've got an episode where original airings where Wesley Snipes was promoting Passenger 57, and I got another episode where Jean-Claude Van Damme was promoting Double Impact. I've got a couple original airings of Arsenio Hall on tape. So I have to admit that when I kind of saw these, I guess you could call them C-list celebrities or B-list or whatever you want to call them. I was kind of disappointed that Arsenio wasn't getting the Will Smiths and the Denzels and all of that, which I think he was fully capable of. I was happy that there were people who were there for him. LL came on and Ice Cube came on, and there were a few people in the industry who really stuck up for Arsenio and came out there and went on his show. In my personal opinion, in taking business courses in college, this is a business related decision. It's strange to me that they say in February he was renewed, but now they say he's canceled. I'm just gonna say how I feel, man. I just think it's blatant racism. I'm sorry, man. I mean, I know that there'll be people who come on my channel and say, "Oh, well, you guys always say it's racism and this is it." But I'm saying, Jimmy Fallon is great. He's cool. He gets the so-called A-list people, but in my opinion, it's just boring, man. I'm tired of seeing older white men dominate the talk show circuit. I'd like to see more diversity. And Jimmy Kimmel is by no means, he's a young guy. You know, he's not old. But David Letterman is old. I mean, I'm just tired of it, man. I just don't think it's right. I mean, I'm disappointed. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I switched back and forth with Arsenio. When he first came out, I really watched him a lot. His second show, the new one, I really watched it a lot, and I was disappointed in the guests, but I would swing back and forth. I thought some of his comedy was funny, and then there were some things that wouldn't hit. But again, it's like an athlete coming back after years and years off. Some things, they're not going to be the best like they were, you know? And I just think it's, in my brain, I think it's racism. That's just me. You know, because I don't want to see David Letterman's old ass. I don't. You know, and Jimmy Kimmel, he's cool, but he has the Tonight Show, you know, so I don't see why they just can't give Arsenio a second chance, man. They just boot him out of there. It really just pisses me off, because when I saw that episode of Prince, and then when I saw that episode of Tyrese and Tank and Genuine, that's the kind of flavor I want. And you all know in YouTube land that ain't no Jimmy Kimmel and ain't no David Letterman gonna bring that kind of flavor. Everybody know they cannot bring it. They cannot bring that diversity and that raw film. They can make little raunchy under the table jokes, but we all know they can't bring it. We know that. And it's just depressing, man. It's depressing. I really hoped Arsenio would have got a second season, because I really think that this was a test drive. It was rough, you know. I mean, it's not gonna hit, you know. And then they pushed his time slot back. I mean, I really think they tried to sabotage him. I mean, his show was on at 11, then they pushed it back to 11:30, and man, whatever, man. I'm sorry, man. Excuse my language. It's bullshit, man. They sabotaged him, man. And you know, Arsenio is saying, "Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity." He has to say that because he's in this business where people of color, we don't run the business. We're getting money from them, you know. So Arsenio has to say, yeah, thank you. They gave me another chance. But fuck that, man. They sabotaged him. And anybody who watches my video knows they sabotaged him, because there was potential for so much more. You know what I mean? And he man, whatever, man. They sabotaged him, man. So now I gotta look at some damn Jimmy Kimmel. And no disrespect to Jimmy Kimmel at all. You know, I'm sorry. Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry. No respect to Jimmy Fallon. You know, I love the guy, but man, whatever, man. They sabotaged him, man. I just think it's blatant racism, man. That's what I think, man. They're playing it off and say ratings, but how the hell is he supposed to get the goddamn ratings if you push his show back to a later time? Man, so whatever. So now we have faces that don't look like this.